Okay, so this is kind of an impromptu video, and it's not one that I was necessarily planning on making just yet. But as you can see here, it's a Nintendo Switch Lite, disassembled mostly. And you may notice that it's turquoise in color, and you may be thinking, wait a minute, I thought you picked up a yellow one. Yes, I did. That's right here. If you remember, the yellow one was billed as having been left in a washing machine and gone through a cycle and not working as a result, understandably. So I figured I'd take a chance, pick it up. Have not had a whole heck of a lot of luck over time, which is one of the reasons why I picked up this second one, although have made some improvements over the past week or two with this, and we'll get to that in a minute. This one was billed as having a bad thumbstick, as you can see, and it also wouldn't power on when I got it. Yeah, that made sense after I took it apart, because this little flex ribbon cable here, which goes to the volume and power buttons and everything, was basically ripped. This is the original one. This is actually from the Yellow Switch. So yeah, that's not going to turn on. And more than likely, this was left long enough that the battery was dead and all of that. But this ribbon cable wasn't plugged in. It's a little mangled. That's my fault. That's not the fault of who I purchased this from. It's a little mangled because Nintendo apparently glues it to the side over here. I don't know why they did it. Maybe it's a little too long, and so they wanted to secure it. Not sure. But those weren't connected. So even if this hadn't been torn, without this being connected, it wasn't going to turn on anyway unless you plugged it in. Because depending on how you shut the switch off, if you plug it in, it'll power on by itself. Anyway, ignore that. There was no water damage when I first got it. This is actually just for me dropping a little bit of isopropyl alcohol in there while I was trying to just clean everything out. It is what it is, as I usually say. But anyway, could not get this to turn on, so I swapped the ribbon. Still couldn't get it to turn on. Messed around with everything, all the different ribbon connections. Just tried everything I could to get it good in case one of these were not inserted all the way. I ended up. This is not even the original left joystick board. That's this one here, and ignore the fact that there's some scratches and stuff on the PCB. The other issue that I think the previous owner had is they had stripped a screw that goes right here, and in order for them to get the screw out, I know what they were thinking, although it probably wasn't the best idea. They put super glue on the screw. Now I'm guessing that they wanted to try to put a little bit of glue on there, grab a screwdriver real quick, and attach it. I don't have one on hand, but just attach it to the head, let it set, and then use that to hopefully remove the screw. Either they used too much glue, or as soon as they put the screwdriver into the head, it overflowed. That was it. And my guess is that they just said, you know what, screw it, we'll just throw it up on eBay and that's it. Normally you just remove super glue using nail polish remover or acetone, but because there's so many plastic components nearby, I did not want to chance it. I didn't want to risk it. It's not just these connectors. You also have the side of the battery compartment, as well as if any were to leak into the shell itself. So I ended up using a combination of like isopropyl alcohol and some of this stuff here, dissolve it. I just put in a little spray bottle. So I used a combination of that as well as an X-Acto knife, and well, the knife got me a little bit. So I was even eventually able to remove enough of the glue that I was able to then take a nail file and basically make a little slot in the screw head to turn it into like a flathead screw. Took a flathead screwdriver bit, removed the screw, got this out. Unfortunately, I also ended up inadvertently removing the actuator or the bail, whatever you want to call it, on this flex ribbon connector. But because of the fact that this had already suffered a little bit of scrapes and stuff, although none of the traces were broken, but still, I don't know what else was done. I said, forget it. I've got the spare one from here, from the yellow one. So I went ahead, put it all together, and I'm going to reconnect everything again. Carefully this time. And I've got everything reconnected. The fan, even the game card slot, every little connector possible. And let's see if it'll cooperate or not. And as you can see, I do have it powering on and working again, so at least to an extent. Now, one thing I did notice before I even got that working is I let it charge, because I had trouble charging initially. So I went ahead and let it charge, and I don't know if it's going to show up on camera or not. I don't know how bright the display is, but it does take a charge. Eventually I did see the fan spin up, so that was kind of neat. And as you can see, it went ahead and it did turn on, but it turned back off again. I don't know if maybe I just got a connector loose, but it does come on and it does work. So I've got still some tweaking to do and some things. I still have to replace the thumbstick, which this will become a donor for now, and get this working and just put it through its paces, see if it's able to connect online and everything. And I might have this one working, and I will do a follow-up video for that. But I also want to talk about the yellow one too. I'm going to go ahead and take this off camera. So this one here, again, went through the wash. I couldn't even get a charge out of it or anything. I couldn't do anything really with it. But because I got this one working again after several attempts, it gave me a little bit of inspiration to try working on this again. I do have some footage of the disassembly of this one. I'm going to try to overlay into this video where appropriate. I don't know if you can see, it might be tough to show, but it did take some damage. You can see there's a little bit of corrosion on this ribbon cable here, and there was another ribbon that had some corrosion, but I can't find out where it's at now. Oh, it's actually this end of the this flex ribbon cable that connects this board to here. I was able to scrape most of it off. Not too big of a deal. But what I ended up doing with this is I removed all the cans and everything, moved the board all together, and then I gave it a bath in IPA for a few hours and just let it sit there. And then once I was satisfied it was in there long enough, I scrubbed every square inch of this board, both sides and everything. I had tested it before with a multimeter. Well, it was definitely getting some shorts and stuff like that, but apparently there are some components on there that will short the ground anyway, so I wasn't sure if I was testing the right components. But anyway, as I went cleaning everything off, left it to dry overnight basically, and let that go. What I'm going to do is take the controller board from this one and put it back in here so that I can show you some of the progress I made with it. Some of these ribbon cables are very difficult to line up and get inserted just because of their layout and their size and everything. I have to do it off camera. There. And then we'll go ahead and it's already connected. I don't really care about the thumbstick just yet. Now we'll try to get this one here. Necessarily need the Wi-Fi connected or anything. I don't have a fan hooked up at this time, but as you can see, notification light comes immediately on, and I don't know if it's showing up on camera. It's tough to say, but I believe the backlight also does come on, but it's hard to see. I noticed it by accident one day. However, I don't know if it still takes a charge. This will be the first time I'm finding out. Yeah, it's not accepting a charge at all. So charger's putting in 5 volts. This isn't taking anything. What I did do though is I had the other board in here for a while. I was able to charge up the battery. Probably should have tested this first, so I would know just to do that. So more than likely there is some additional damage in here. Now this is getting hot, so the SoC is working itself. It's possible that there's an issue with some sort of video display chip if there is one, or it could be an issue with the screen itself. I'm going to turn it off because I don't want that to overheat. But at the very least, this thing powers on now, whereas before it didn't. Now again, battery itself can't be charged through this board for the time being. It may need the charging chip replaced. It may be a lost cause. I'm not sure. I'm hoping it's not. The fact that I was able to get it to that point and I can get a backlight and everything, giving me some hope that I can actually fix this. But at the very least, I can use parts from here to repair this one, and then I will have a working Switch Lite. I wasn't necessarily looking for one. This is really more of a project to do, something fun to work on. If I do manage to get both working, I'm not going to keep both. I'll probably get rid of one of them. We'll see what I do with it if I can get this working. These ribbon cables you can buy just about anywhere, so if I had damage to this one, not too big of a deal. You can get replacement button boards as well too. They're usually between $5 and $10. Thumbsticks you can buy as well. You can buy replacement screens, but they're not necessarily cheap. So what I'm going to do is try this board in this switch here with, well, that base of that display and everything, and see if I can get that working. If I can get a picture and everything, then I'll know the screen on here needs to be replaced, the charging chip needs to be replaced, and I'll have to get, of course, another controller board, just because, again, because this one has the broken FPC connector, and I have not been able to get the actuator back on. It's too small of a part for me to be able to do that with. But I want to get this video out because I was kind of excited they got this one working, and there will be a follow-up to this with it, you know, fully restored. So yeah, so no luck, no video. It's just this notification when it comes on. I'm gonna do a search and see if that means anything. At the very least, you know, I gotta replace the charging chip, and I don't know if I want to go that far with it. There could be something else going on as well too, some sort of chip to drive the LCD display. I'm not sure. At some point, it's just going to be a loss in terms of parts. Again, not that I'm intentionally trying to make a profit off of this. This was just for a fun project. And since I've got the since I've got the original blue board working, I can at least get one Switch Lite working, and I can always save the yellow one for spare parts. As it stands, I'm going to need the thumbstick, and you know, anything else I can have spare parts for. The battery, well, the battery here does hold a charge, it seems, as does this one here, so I've got at least a good battery as well. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to keep working on the turquoise Switch Lite and get that functional, fully functional, and then I will do an updated video. Not sure when. It won't be tomorrow or anything like that, but it will be relatively soon because I'm kind of motivated now to get everything working. So, but yeah, if you like this video, hit the thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't yet. But as usual, there's never any obligation. If you didn't like the video, please hit the thumbs down, but please let me know why in the comments below, so I can try to use that to make improvements going forward. Thanks all, and I will catch you later.